Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And it's
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. And as well, if you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share our page on our Facebook page at X Talking Ish. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you go ahead and check us out there and hit that red subscribe button so you can be notified for shows like this one, and also hit that notification bell at the top right hand corner for shows like this one in the future.
ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. And as well,
Mm-hmm.
if you are on Twitter, please make sure you go ahead and check out our Twitter page at X Talking Ish. I've already retweeted on my personal page at X underscore Williams 81. So we appreciate everybody as always for tuning in. As you see behind me, before I get into our topics for tonight, we are celebrating, of course, an American favorite, a New Orleans classic, Fat Tuesday. You already know what it is. If you don't, then hey, you need to realize real quick. Fat Tuesday is a national holiday in New Orleans. So my people that's in Louisiana and of course attached to Texas, shout out to y'all's Fat Tuesday. Of course, a couple weeks ago we had two, and also two for Tuesdays, Taco Tuesday. We're going up on a Tuesday, whatever you want to call it. That's what we have tonight. It's two for Tuesdays. We have multiple topics we are going to be discussing today. We
It's
appreciate
National Pancake
everybody.
Day.
It is. I didn't know that. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
National Pancake Day.
That's random. So this would be a perfect time if anybody's out there that has a taco spot to go ahead and have a pancake taco for National Pancake Day
A pancake
for
taco.
tacos. I'm just
That.
saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Sounds good to me. It sounds like a torch.
Yeah.
Hey, torches, if you out there and you listening, make that happen. Just saying. But anywho, once again, we appreciate y'all for joining and tuning in. If you're listening on the socials, either on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or of course tuning into our podcast, after we put it onto our podcast, we appreciate everybody that tunes in on there. We're gonna get right into the thick of things. Of course, the last time y'all seen us, we had our Super Bowl recap. It's been a couple of weeks since then. We, of course, took a week off because, let's be real, everybody needed a week off. Everybody needed a week off after seeing that Super Bowl. It was good. It was a great halftime show. I just think everybody needed just a week of football, a football break. I know everybody wants football all year long, but it's good to have a break. So we went ahead, took a break. We're back. We appreciate the NFL doing what they do, which is always keep topics on deck for us to talk about, and we will of course do that. We're gonna get right into it. Some of the topics that we will be talking about tonight happened about a week or two-ish ago, and some of them are happening as we speak. Of course, I'm talking about 2022 NFL Combine. We also will be talking about Brian Flores getting hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, drama in Phoenix with Kyler Murray and the management staff in Arizona. Jimmy G is set to have shoulder surgery, and also Dak Prescott has his own shoulder cleanup surgery on his non-throwing shoulder. So we'll be getting again into these topics. Ish, before we do, is there anything you'd like to say before I dive into these topics?
No.
No? Straight to it?
Straight to it.
All right, let's get it in. Let's get it. So our first topic we're going to start off with tonight is the hiring of Brian Flores by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, before this hire, of course, if you been keeping up with the NFL, Brian Flores put in a lawsuit against the NFL practices on hiring black coaches or minority coaches in the NFL. Let's be realish. I know I was somebody that assumed this, and I have no problems being wrong on this one at all, but I assume when he put that lawsuit in there, that was the end of his coaching career period in the NFL. A lot of people feel like he wrote his own death note, right? And it's understandable, but it seems like Mike Tomlin, if you checked out Real Sports on HBO, Brian Gumbel was able to interview Brian Flores and talk about the process of him being able to get the job. Mike Tomlin reached out to Brian Flores, and they were able to hash out a deal to where he was able to come to Pittsburgh and be the inside linebackers coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers, probably the most overqualified inside linebacker in the NFL at the moment. But it's just one of those things where, as Brian Flores said in that interview, he's just thankful for the opportunity to be able to have it because of the unfortunate circumstance that happened in Miami. with Brian Flores being able to have another opportunity to coach again, it helps out him. It helps out the lawsuit because it's not going away anytime soon. It's going to be talked about, and it's going to be something that is a point of emphasis moving forward for the league and also, of course, the Miami Dolphins. If everything that Brian Flores is talking about and said in that lawsuit comes to light and is true, we probably could see an owner like Stephen Ross have to sell his team. And if that does happen, one, of course, besides the factors of wow, that we can't believe that's happening. We can, of course, because of course you shouldn't do that as an owner, of course, to management. But be interested to see who takes over the team. We have a lot of people that feel like, of course, besides being a minority owner, to be more minority ownership. There's could be some guys like a Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos that will come in there very quickly and swiftly come and buy that team without even thinking about a minority owner. So I can see that. But my question is, and I'm gonna throw it to you, Ish. If let's just say that everything is true with what Brian Flores is talking about, and Stephen Ross has to sell his team, what is the process that you think will go through? Will it be kind of like what we saw in the NBA with the NBA did with Donald Sterling and the Los Angeles Clippers, where the league will kind of interview the potential owners, or will they let the Miami Dolphins do the hiring due to I'm sorry, let the Miami Dolphins, and Stephen Ross let him sell it to whoever he wants to sell it to. I think that's an interesting factor of what will happen with that, because again, we know what happened with Donald Sterling. They pretty much forced him to sell his team. Ish.
Well, I would say forget about what happened with Donald Sterling. The NFL is a different beast. We all know how the owners and pretty much anybody associated with the NFL, they all fall behind the shield, get behind the shield, and it's all about the shield. So that's going to be a totally different beast in and of itself. Also, I think it's going to go similar to currently the Denver Broncos are for sale right now. And it is going to be pretty similar to that. They're going to allow the team to go out and, search for an owner. And the thing that everybody has to remember, no matter who ends up, putting in a bid, and at the end of the day, the owner of the Broncos says, okay, well, I want to sell to X, Y, and Z. The rest of the owners have to agree. The rest of the owners have to give the okay for that person to become an owner. So there was talk that the Broncos, the NFL, mainly Roger Goodell, was actually name dropped, are pressuring. I forgot who the black man is that they're pressuring, but they're currently pressuring this guy to buy the Denver Broncos. That's what they're trying to do. And I could see if that doesn't work out, and put later on down the road, we end up in a situation where the rest of the owners say, yeah, Mr. Ross, you got to get up out of here. It's bad for the shield. It looks bad. We're sorry, but we're going to make sure you get paid a whole lot of money on the way out. I could see a similar situation of them pressuring, not necessarily saying that you have to go get a minority owner, but I could see behind closed doors the pressure being put on them to go get a minority owner. Very similar to how I suspect that I can't confirm that this story, but I'm pretty sure anybody with a brain has the same feeling that the Houston Texans were pressured into not hiring Josh McCown. I think it'll be similar to that. Behind closed doors, they're going to all get together. They're going to say, hey, listen up. I know it sucks that you gotta sell your team, Mr. Ross, but at the end of the day, you gotta ride for the shield. And the best thing for you to do for the shield right now is to go out there and find a minority owner to sell to, so that we all look good at the end. So we all look good. So I think that's what's gonna happen, honestly speaking. But if I'm really, really telling you the truth, I don't think he's gonna have to sell.
Now I got you, and I think the black guy that you're talking about is Robert F. Smith.
Yep.
The richest
Yeah,
black
Robert
man.
Smith.
Yes, the richest black man in the world at the moment. He's most famous for paying off 2019
Yep.
class of Morehouse, all their student loans. I'm pretty sure if you saw that on the internet, it was a viral video that went across all platforms to where the Morehouse class was very elated for that gift of gratitude. And I'm pretty sure before that, nobody knew who he was. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would just assume he was like dying and just giving his money off. No, he has a lot of money, and he could be the guy to seriously buy the Broncos. But we've heard, let's be real, over the last let's just say the last 3 to 5 years, we've heard these groups come out like a Diddy and Steph Curry and say we want to get together to try to buy the Panthers, right? Or you might have somebody like Rick Ross, who, let's be real, he doesn't have enough money to want to buy the Dolphins or want to buy whoever. There's a guy out there, I'm pretty sure if you know about him on social media, Gary V. He's very, very big on wanting to buy the New York Jets. But what holds up everything is, like you're saying, is not if you have enough money. It's can you get all the yeses from all the other owners that will allow you to be an owner in this business. So that is the very interesting the domino effect of what will happen if Stephen Ross has to sell. If he doesn't, of course, everything goes back to normal, whatever normal is. If he does, it'll be interesting to see who the next owner will be, and also the fallout from Stephen Ross, the NFL. And again, if it is true, it's going to be more than just selling the team. It's going to be a lot that snowballs into it. You agree or not really is?
I still don't think that he's gonna have to sell the team. I don't think even if the report comes out and they say, yeah, they had a conversation and he told the man to lose games, and because he didn't lose games, then he got rid of him. I don't think they're gonna force that man to sell the team. Like, I think he's gonna end up with a slap on the wrist, and maybe they take some draft picks from him. Find the team or something, find the organization. I don't know, but I don't see it as a situation where they're going to uh, make him sell the team. I just think the owners are too close knit of a group to turn on one of their own and make him sell the team over something that I'm pretty sure a lot of them do. I'm pretty sure a lot of them in the situation where you have a losing season, you feel like, hey, this player is somebody that we should go out and get. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Jones was out here firing people because they weren't losing games. He might be telling
that's why Jason Garrett was able to have a career so long with the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
He probably was actually listening to
he was listening to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones telling him, man, you better not go out there and win that playoff game. I'm just saying.
Oh Lord, how the mighty have fallen with the Cowboys, huh? All right, let's go ahead and move on because we will be talking about the Cowboys later on in this show. We won't spoil that one. So let's get into, of course, day one of the 2022 NFL Combine. Of course, as always, in Indianapolis and Ish. I'm just letting everybody know there's not too much to report on right now. There hasn't really been too many. I'm sorry, there hasn't been any events. Of course, this is the first day where they check in, get their measurements, get everything weighed out, all that good stuff. Where everything will mostly start in position groups tomorrow, and depending on the position groups will determine what you're doing per day. Starts today, ends on the 7th. With that being said, we've played football for a little over 15 years in our career, right, and whatnot, and I just want to use our experience right quick talking about the NFL, talking about the combine in general. I think the combine really wasn't a big deal until like mid 2000s when we were in high school and they had these Nike Spark combines that would go around high school and get everybody's measurements and get everybody's numbers and you have a guy doing such and such numbers over here, you got a guy doing such and such numbers over there. I think with the combine, it's such an imperfect science that sometimes some people rely on it too much. And then you have some people that don't pay enough attention to somebody that you can obviously tell, like, man, this guy, you got to tell this guy is going to be something, and you just overlook it just due to small school he went to, just due to not don't doesn't fit the stature of what a position is supposed to be. And sometimes we get so caught up and wrapped up in these combines that we don't really get an opportunity to actually see how they play on the field. Because at the end of the day, it's not about how far of a broad jump you can jump. It's not about how many times you can bench press. It's not about your 40-yard dash in a straight line. Because it's not that many times in a game where you're going to run a straight line for 40 yards. So, throwing it to you, Ish, do you think moving forward, because we have injured players that are not participating in the combine, do you think the combine will not be as such of a draw as it has been in recent years? Of course, we have the NFL Network there. They have that Run Rich Run promo. Remember when Dion was on the NFL Network at one point in time, he would race people to make it more fun. But in reality, let's be real. A combine really isn't that fun. If you've gone through a combine, if you're a player and you've actually gone through a combine, it is very nerve-wracking. It is the most physical test that you will ever take in your life. It's like taking the state required test wherever you live at, and knowing that if you mess up, you could literally lose millions of dollars. That's how much pressure it is on some of these guys. And if you go through the history of the combine, some guys say they opted out and didn't throw and was able to still go first round or top 1 or 2 rounds and still have a great career. Yeah, some guys that will go in there and have a bad combine, draft will drop, and some people would never recover from it, right? So I just think it's interesting. I want to throw it to you, Ish, on how you see this combine moving forward in the future.
I think that the combine will always have some sort of there'll always be some sort of emphasis on the combine. I just think that at that level of football, even at the collegiate level of football, I would argue there is a lot of stock put into some of these measurables, just because analytics is really big. People believe in the numbers. They believe in some of these things, how many times you can bench press, your 40, your change of direction, the cone, 3-cone drill, all of that. I think that there will always be an emphasis on it. And I think even if people less of the bigger names goes to the combine, I think that you'll still get you still have some form of a combine in the individual pro days, the school pro days, because you're still pretty much doing a lot of the same things, right? You're doing the same test, bench press, 40, some position drills or anything. So I think there are things. I think for the casual viewer, the combine's not very interesting. It's not very entertaining. It may be losing its luster a little bit. But I think for the people involved, there are things that they are looking for when they're coaching a drill, when they're talking to the players in the drill, seeing how they listen, how they follow instructions. Those sorts of things that they are actually, for the teams that are there interviewing guys, it's a big deal. I think the interviews, that's a big part of the combine that you don't see on TV, but we've seen people end up losing a lot of money because they bomb interviews. The Wonderlic test. We've seen people lose a lot of money because they failed the Wonderlic test. So it's like there are other aspects of the combine besides just the field events that go on that I think are still very valuable to the NFL. So they will always put value in the combine. For the casual viewer, though, I do feel like the combine has kind of lost a little bit of that pizzazz, because I think you don't see very much out of the ordinary anymore. I think, before it was like, oh, wow, that guy ran a 4.3. Well, pretty much everybody in the skill positions are running 4.3s now. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, what is there to see that you don't already know? Also, there's a plethora of film out there on the different sites, whether it be YouTube or any other site that you could go in, and you can watch film on these guys and see a lot of that information, get a lot of that information that you want Whereas before, you wouldn't see that. You watch the games, and then the next time you really got a chance to see that guy and evaluate that guy, and that people are saying your team should go out and draft would be on the combine, and you watch it and you'd be like, oh yeah, he performed well at the combine. I agree. I think my team should draft him. But really now, if you wanted to do that evaluation on your own, you could go on YouTube, go watch a bunch of highlight tapes or other things. There are plenty of people breaking down film nowadays, and putting that online. You can go watch that and still get what you would probably get from the combine. So for the casual viewer, yeah, it's losing its luster because of a lot of other factors. But for the NFL, it'll always be a big thing for them.
Definitely respect everything that you said on that one. I agree, and I wouldn't say I disagree, but I agree on what you're saying when it comes to both sides, the civilian side and the NFL side. It serves its purpose. It is what it is. It's not going away anytime soon. But overall, it's just one of those things where, again, we've been in the game long enough to know that just because you have measurables doesn't mean that translates to the field, and just because your measurables suck doesn't mean that
That mean
suck
you're not a player. That's right.
So that's the thing. That's the reason why if you are a scout, that's why you do get paid the money that you get paid, because you're supposed to have that eye to see who is going to be
know.
the potential of an individual. That's what you're supposed to see. All right, speaking of potential, of course, we do have drama still in Phoenix, and when I'm speaking of potential, of course, is Mr. Calamari, as our boy Ali Taki would say. And with that being said, though, Ish, with our bad little Tyler, Kyler Murray, the drama that's going on in Phoenix, is this something that will be resolved before the season starts, or is this the beginning of the end of Kyler Murray in Phoenix?
I don't know. I think that's totally up to management and how they feel about this marriage with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, and whether or not, if they decide to get rid of Cliff Kingsbury, that's going to become a problem with Kyler Murray and whoever they decide to bring in, whether or not that's going to work out or gel. So it's hard to say whether or not it'll be resolved, because it really depends on the organization and their actual belief and faith in Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray as Kyler Murray in and of himself, not Kyler Murray as, the pairing with Cliff Kingsbury. I am under the impression, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago when we were on the show. I thought I had a hunch that it had to do with contracts and had to do with the fact that they've been saying one thing, but they're not actually, like we like to say all the time, they were talking about it, but they weren't actually being about it. And I think that's the situation, right? Like we heard that they wrote a letter and they pretty much gave a contract proposal to the team and said, this is what we think that he should make, right? Which tells me that the team doesn't value Kyler Murray as high as Kyler Murray thinks he should be valued by the organization. And if that's the case, and if he is, under the assumption that he should be making similar to Dak Prescott money, or, I'm saying Dak Prescott money because I think that's the closest that he can get to as far as in the quarterback market. In today's market, that's the closest person of comparison that you could say I should probably make around him amount what he's making. I don't know that the team's going to just come out and give you Dak Prescott money, and I don't know that Kyler Murray has the need to go out there and play if he really feels like that's what he's due. Again, the difference between Kyler Murray and some of these other guys. He does, and I know people hate to hear it. He has baseball as a fallback. If he really wanted to go to baseball, guy could go.
So
I know they're on
strike. Well, not just that. I'm happy you bring that up. I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to wait for you to get done with what you're saying. But you finish off, and I'll get onto that.
No, I'm just saying it's a real option that's out there. I know there are some. It's not as simple as him just saying, I'm going to go play baseball, right? Like there are things that are going to go on there that have to be figured out. But I do want to say, unlike Russell Wilson, he's an okay baseball player, maybe just decent, maybe not even okay. unlike that guy, this is the first guy like a prime time, like a Deion Sanders, who actually could go to baseball and make some noise in baseball. So I don't know. Kyler might decide he want to play hardball with them. I just don't. This situation is really just like a messy high school situation of a bunch of, gossiping going around, people saying one thing here, people saying another thing here, and it seems like no one trusts anyone over there in Arizona, and it's quickly turning into something that, if the best thing for both parties might be to actually move on.
So I'm happy that you said everything that you just said, because I want to piggyback off of some of the unfortunate negatives that Kyler Murray has right now. Because at first, when all this was going on, I really thought Kyler Murray had an opportunity to be able to get this type of money. But here's the thing. Okay, just a couple weeks ago, I would agree with you and say, yeah, he does have baseball to fall back on. But right at the moment right now, baseball has already canceled 2 of their series. And that's not going to be that's not the end of it. It's this baseball, if they even do start the season, will be maybe minimum mid-season. Okay, so at the moment, Kyler does not have that to his leverage to where he can say, I'm going to go play for the A's, because no, you're not. Nobody's playing for the A's right now. So that's all on that one. I do believe, yes, he can play baseball, but you have no leverage on saying, hey, I'm going to go play baseball, because nobody's playing baseball. So
maybe he's gonna go broker the deal between them. Maybe he's gonna go make it happen so he can have that.
Anyway, shut your ass up. Anyways, no. Okay, so going on to the next thing is what I don't like between Kyler Murray and his head coach Cliff Kingsbury is that they share the same agent. How many coaches, quarterbacks do you know that share the same agent? That's weird. That is weird. I know that might not seem weird to people that's tuning in and don't really follow NFL like that, but that usually does not happen. And if a coach and a player have the same agent, usually not the star quarterback, right? But we do know the relationship between Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray since college. And going into this season, he still has 2 years left on his contract, Kyler Murray. And from what I'm thinking, from what my just viewpoint on this is, I think Phoenix gives Cliff and Kyler 1 more year. And if y'all don't perform the way y'all should perform, the way we think that y'all can perform, both y'all out of here. We'll start all over again.
But
because they've already done it before. But that's on management. That's on management though. Because here's the thing. I like Kyler Murray. I think he can be maybe a better version of Russell Wilson. But guess what? You've been hurt every year you've been in the league. You are not a 6'4", 250-pound quarterback that can run over people or even jump over people like Josh Allen. Usually when you're out there running, you better make some people miss, or they're gonna have you pushed into the third row of the stands because of how light you are. So for Kyler, I agree with what you're saying when it comes to the management of the the Arizona Cardinals. When it comes to, I don't think that they value Kyler the way Kyler values himself. And if that's the case, then what Kyler needs to seriously calm down on and realize, if the Cardinals want to, they can make a trade. If they want to, they'll say, you know what? If you want to win so bad, take your ass to Indy. We'll bring Carson Wentz in here. Take your ass. Yeah, I know. Take your ass. Maybe, and I said maybe. I don't think this happens, but Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they make the trade, but I don't think. The Packers want to keep Aaron Rodgers in the NFC. So it's going
Houston. I've already told you, Houston, the place they need to send him.
You're right.
If they really want to move him,
it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Arizona, what they do with this situation, because, like you said, when we first started this, it first started off with Kyler Murray scrubbing his information from being a Cardinal, right? And then it goes to the Cardinals talking about how, oh, well, we don't feel like he's a leader. We feel like he's a little immature. He's this and that. So you got your whole your organization that drafted you, that wants you to be the franchise quarterback, that took over for Josh Rosen. You kicked them to the curb. Now they over here talking down on you.
Man.
So there obviously is a disconnect, and what I will say is this, and I'm ending with this: where there is smoke, there is fire. Okay, because just a couple of months ago, there were multiple reports about James Harden not being happy in Brooklyn. And at first, I dismissed them. I said, "Oh, don't worry, they're gonna get it. They're gonna." Kevin Durant and James Harden are best friend, or not best friend, but they're friends. They played together before. Blah blah blah. They're gonna figure it out. Well, as you see, he's now a 76er, and obviously some of those reports were correct when it comes to what was going on in Brooklyn. And I feel like it's the same situation going on in Phoenix when it comes to there's something internal that if it doesn't get resolved, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Kyler Murray doesn't play week one as an Arizona Cardinal.
So I'll say this real quick, just to kind of put a bow on it for me. The biggest problem that I have with the whole situation is exactly what you alluded to. Partly that Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray share the same agent, but also the fact that it appears the organization does not value either one on their own. It appears that these two have been linked at the hip.
As a package deal.
Everybody seems to assume that they can only exist as a package. Like, it does not appear.
But
like
here's the thing,
Cardinals,
though. No, that's on the Cardinals.
It is
for bringing in Cliff because you wanted to do like other teams. As we talk about the NFL all the time, it's a copycat league, right? They saw everybody else is doing this, so let's go ahead and match up this quarterback guru with this badass quarterback and see what we can get out of it. And it's not panning out the way that they thought it was going to be. So let's try to figure out a way that we can make Kyler look like the bad guy and maybe even Cliff too, and scrub our hands with it and start over again.
And the biggest problem with that whole situation of packaging them and doing it like how they're doing is so it messes up your evaluation of Kyler Murray. And now I feel like they created this situation because since you're judging them as a package, how do you know whether or not to give Kyler Murray the amount of money that he's asking for? You don't, which is why they are sitting here trying not to give him that money because they themselves don't know. Hey, if we decide in the middle of the season next year we want to get rid of Cliff, what does that look like? Like, what does Kyler Murray look like without Cliff now? What is our evaluation of Kyler Murray without Cliff? Do we even want to keep Kyler Murray on the team if Cliff isn't here? And I think those are the conversations that are going on internally right now is they're trying to figure out themselves like, hey, if we get rid of Cliff Kingsbury, because there was talk, like you said, where there's smoke, there's fire. There was talk after the season that the coaches weren't getting their playoff bonuses paid out, or they were late on getting their playoff bonuses.
That's arena football stuff. That's not NFL stuff. That's semi-pro stuff that you hear about. That's wild. I mean, it's 2022 and you hearing about coaches ain't getting playoff bonuses. That's a problem.
It's crazy to think that y'all are late on getting playoff bonuses, which says to me, and the talk was, oh well, ownership wasn't happy with the way that the season ended. That tells me they aren't happy with Cliff Kingsbury. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. They don't like what Cliff Kingsbury has been doing, how he's been finishing seasons off. They're pretty much ready to move on from Cliff Kingsbury, which we talked about it throughout the whole season. Hey, Cliff, this is your chance. They went out. They basically brought as many assets as they could.
Many toys, as many Ferraris and Lambos out there to make your offense what it's supposed to be.
Y'all started well, and then
they what you notoriously are known to do, which is not close out the season.
So it's like now they don't want to get rid of Cliff. I think if it weren't for Kyler Murray, let me just say this:
Cliff would have been gone.
He would have been gone.
Oh yeah,
I think he would have been gone.
No, I got you. I think we're on the same page. I think we're on the same page. And let me read this comment from Fractured Walnut right quick. He asks, would rather have a QB who shows up at the end of the season when the games really count. Give me a QB who gets high the last 6-7 games and is rolling going into the playoffs. I mean, the one guy I will throw out there is, of course, a guy like Nick Foles. I know, of course, when he went on his run with the Eagles and a couple years after that, a lot of people looked at him like, man, I just wanted him just for 3 or 4 games. He only got to play the whole season, right? And I think, and I could be wrong. We're going to move on shortly, but with the level of great play that we've seen from consistency from guys like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, a lot of people feel like if you have a guy like Phillip Rivers you failed, right? Even though he played 17 years for one franchise and playoff runs and here, but it wasn't good enough, right? It's not good enough. That's how competitive this league is, to where you could be a guy like Matt Stafford and play on a franchise for 10 plus years and not have any success, and then all of a sudden you get into the right system, the right organization that believes in you, and all of a sudden you're a Super Bowl champion. Or of course, like we just saw with the Bengals, you could be somebody that's homegrown somewhere and be able to have the pieces around you that can make a run at it. And I think with, like we're all agreeing with, is with Arizona, it's like that relationship where they know they both want to let go, but they just can't. So they're just gonna unfortunately go through the hell of things, and then we're gonna figure out if they get burnt. Really, towards in this season, we're gonna see what happens for them. I think the best way for them to change is maybe they do the opposite. Maybe they go 2-6 in the first half of the season, and then go 10-0. Or no, sorry, 9-0 in the second half, and all of a sudden they're in the playoffs and they're rolling. I mean, I don't know.
That's not gonna happen, bro.
Because if that happens, Cliff getting fired before the season over with. So
yeah, he's getting fired in the middle of the season. That's
all right, let's go ahead, keep it in that same division, the NFC West, and let's go ahead and go to San Francisco and talk about our boy Jimmy G. He is going under a shoulder surgery and will not be able to throw for 16 weeks. I just wanted to talk about this just very briefly because I think Jimmy G and the 49ers are a very unique situation, because they're kind of like the Packers, but Jimmy G's not Aaron Rodgers. What I'm saying is that they drafted the successor to the guy that they knew they're going to move on from, right? But I don't think that they're sold just yet. We talked about this all season long, this past season, that I don't think the 49ers are set on Trey Lance just yet. I think there's still more work to be done from Trey Lance. There's no slight to him at all. I just needed more work to be done, learning more of the playbook and learning that Kyle Shanahan system. And for Jimmy G to not take his team to a Super Bowl, not just once, but also maybe twice this season, beating Aaron Rodgers. I know it wasn't him. I'm talking about as a team, beating Aaron Rodgers this season. The numbers show when Jimmy G plays for the 49ers, they win, and when he don't, they lose. So for a team like the 49ers, they have to stay with him at the moment until the wheels fall off, and then you're able to insert Trey Lance, hopefully when he's ready. But I'm going to throw it to you, Ish. Do you think that Trey Lance is ready this season? Because I don't, and I think Jimmy G having this shoulder surgery so early in the offseason, of course, allows him to get back before summer, allows him to get back into throwing, and I think, of course, as always, he will be the week one starter for the 49ers.
Do I think that do I think that Trey Lance is ready? No, Trey Lance is not ready. Okay, let me just say this. We need to remember, all the hype that he got going into the draft and everything, people forget that man sat out a whole season. Like, not only was that man not playing at the highest level of college football, which that doesn't always matter, but as a quarterback, he sat out an entire season. So it is not like, I don't know why people thought that they were going to draft this man and he was just going to come in right away and be the savior of the 49ers, especially when you already had a guy on the team that was able to carry you guys to the Super Bowl, not carry you guys, but ride along to the Super Bowl. Because as we saw this year, Jimmy G was the reason why they didn't make it back to the Super Bowl.
We can agree on that. Yeah, we can all agree on that.
He threw the game. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
he threw it away, and he honestly, he has himself to blame for us having these conversations. Because if he even played decent, we wouldn't even be having these conversations.
They probably could have two Super Bowls right now. They probably could have two Super Bowls.
If he would just play decent. So Jimmy G is the reason for these conversations. But do I think Trey Lance is going to be ready? No. Do I think that the 49ers are going to keep Jimmy G around? I kind of feel like they've already screwed themselves. I feel like they've already kind of made these declarations like Trey Lance was going to be the guy. Kind of similar to how when Patrick Mahomes' rookie season, everybody knew Patrick Mahomes. But towards the end of the season, everybody knew the next season Alex Smith was
It was
gone.
Patrick Mahomes' spot.
It was Patrick Mahomes' team, right? Like everybody knew that. The 49ers have kind of set up the scene similar, right? Where they kind of made it towards the end of the season look like, you know what, Jimmy G, we're going to ride this out with you this season, but this is like your farewell tour, all right? Enjoy yourself because Trey Lance the guy next year. And now they trying to backtrack because they realize, like, hold on, this guy almost got us to, like, we know he's not that great.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like they're in the same situation that the Green Bay Packers are in, where they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to fall off a cliff, but he won back-to-back MVPs. So now you're like, oh shit, damn, Jordan Love definitely is not going to be able to walk in and that's not even about being on Aaron Rodgers' level. It's just about just coming in here and produce, because we saw the game where he came in and didn't play too well. Of course,
he's not ready. He's clearly not ready.
And again, it's not saying that he's going to be that guy moving forward the rest of his career. It's just the Green Bay Packers feel like they have a team that can compete for a Super Bowl every year, especially with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But even if you take him off, they still feel like if we put maybe a Jimmy G type of quarterback back there, we can still make a run at it. And with Jordan Love, let's be real, they drop off very significantly to where you went from being an NFC contender to maybe not even make the playoffs. I mean, again, let's just be real. So that's both. I mean, I agree with what you said when it comes to the 49ers screwed themselves. No, the Packers screwed themselves as well too. Because also, who knows, maybe you did it to spark a fire under Aaron Rodgers. We don't know what mind game you're trying to do over there, Green Bay, but for the 49ers, I could be wrong. I'm just going to end it on this. I could be wrong, but I just think that they saw the eye candy. I think they saw the eye candy in Trey Lance, and they kind of looked at him like Carson Wentz and saw that he's going to this quarterback factory of a school, which I don't know why I don't know why the love for North Dakota State is just so high, because even before Carson Wentz, nobody really came out of that school where they were just like, yeah, we need to go get skilled players. It was always linemen, but I digress. And hopefully for Trey Lance, he has a great career, but 49ers, they're not going to make a change unless it's necessary. If they're 8-2 after 10 games and Jimmy G is 17 for 17 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, guess what? They still wrong with Jimmy G. The Niners are really, honestly, configured the same way that Kyle Shanahan's father, Mike Shanahan, is an old school type of football where, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay? We ain't about to go out here and mess the game up, which we saw Shanahan do this plenty of times before in the Super Bowls previous to this past year. But moving forward, maybe Mike Shanahan, again, learns from these mistakes that he's had. And I agree with, maybe this is the last year Jimmy G has this short leash, and we'll see what happens either with Trey Lance, or maybe there's some type of trade that happened for Aaron Rodgers, bring Aaron Rodgers back home to the Bay. Trey Lance for, I don't know. I'm just saying, throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the last topic for the night. Of course, we had to let our Cowboy fans know about what's going on with the Cowboys. I don't know if Travis Crowe's still on, but I want to talk about this very, very quick topic about Dak Prescott getting a cleanup surgery on his non-throwing shoulder. Let's be real-ish. It's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. And the reason why it is a big deal is because you are the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and also you've had consecutive years of injuries and surgeries to where it's like, okay, Dak, you got your money, you play well, but is Ezekiel Elliott going to still be a Cowboy? There's going to be some changes coming into the season where some of these guys are not going to be there. And Dak went from having literally probably one of the best lines when he first was a Cowboy to their offensive line is mediocre at best. So what is going to happen with Dak and this Cowboys team moving forward when it comes to, are y'all a legit team to compete for a Super Bowl this upcoming year? Because a lot of question marks over there. So Ish, what is your 2 cents on this cleanup surgery that he had as a non-throwing shoulder?
I'm not worried about the surgery, to be honest. I'm not gonna, overhype it or anything. It was on a non-throwing shoulder. He should be okay. He should be fine. Is it gonna pain him, if he gets sacked and falls on it and everything? Yeah, I think so. But ultimately, I think he'll be okay. I think that they're just kind of there, like you said, there's so many holes that they got to fill. There's so many questions that need to be answered with the Cowboys. There's no wonder that, and just the fan base being the fan base, there's no wonder that this is becoming a headline that people are talking about, because the fan base is all worried about what are we gonna do. I think Dak's performance this year is part of what spurred them to go as far as they did, even though they lost in the first round. But it gave them a little bit more of a lifeline. And I think without Dak, they realized, kind of similar to what we were just talking about with San Francisco, with Green Bay. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on. You can look at Pittsburgh and their situation, no longer having Ben
Tennessee,
Roethlisberger there. Tennessee, like
New
it's
Orleans. It's a lot. It's a
it's
lot. It's a lot around here in the league.
it's a lot of situation, which and that's why for the San Francisco, to go back to the topic we were just talking about, you can't just get rid of Jimmy G like that, because as
Who you
you
gonna
can
get their
see
place?
around the league, if you don't got a guy that can at least be adequate at the position, you will not sniff close to the playoffs for a long time, or you won't sniff the Super Bowl. At least you may make it and lose in the first round, but to actually contend, if you don't got a guy that's like an actual beast back there, good luck being mediocre. So for the Cowboy fans, I mean, you're just hoping that y'all figure out the line situation, because this surgery and the issue that Dak has going on, they're not going to come back to bite you in the butt unless the line has, a bad situation happen. Because all it does, it just takes one of them to get hurt. They're not as deep as they were before. Like a couple years ago, when they were the number one line in the league, they were deep enough that one of them could get hurt, and you felt
Plug and
like,
play.
oh yeah, man,
Plug
we're
and play.
fine. There ain't no problem. That's not the same line y'all got now. So the people who have kind of neglected that fact that you've lost some of those pieces, and some of those pieces have just kind of digressed.
Especially a guy like Connor Williams, who led the league in holding calls. And for a guy like Connor Williams to go from, of course, being a UT guy and getting drafted by the Cowboys, you would think it'd be an easier transition to go from Austin to Dallas and play up under that star like that. But man, he has not been what they thought he was going to be. Let's hope he has a bounce back season this upcoming season. But woo,
Yeah, man.
yeah, it looks like Lee is a little upset with us having a show. We apologize. We would definitely put it
sorry
up there
about that
to
one.
let people know. But yes, you will have to go rewatch that 45. We will be back next week, though, Lee. Don't worry about it if you missed today. We'll be back next week, we promise. Talk more about, of course, the recapping of the Combine. Of course, we will talk about the mock drafts. We'll have our mock drafts, of course, for the upcoming draft. And of course, more and more to talk about on next week's show. But of course, just to finish up this topic, I'll just end it with I don't think that it is a big deal. Mike McCarthy also commented and said that it's not a big deal at all. He just wanted to be safe and precautious on that. My thing is this. We saw how Baker Mayfield had to gut through the season this past season with a bad a torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder, right? And if it's not corrected, it can affect you. We saw that with Baker. And Baker gets an opportunity to prove himself this upcoming year because he's supposed to be healthy. Was that something that Dak went through during the season? I don't know. I don't know how long that or when it happened to where it affected him throughout the season. But coming into this season, like I said, there are a lot of questions on Dak, Zeke, and just remember, just 3 or 4 years ago, these were the guys that were supposed to lead the Cowboys into Super Bowls and be this next threesome of great Cowboy players to play for the Cowboys. And Zeke, honestly is a better pass blocker than he is a running back. And Dak, he's gonna for real live up to his nickname, Dump Down Dak, because we haven't seen a pass more than 35 yards in a long time. So the Cowboys are under a lot of pressure, not just with the players, but of course with the coaching. And Jerry Jones, most likely he'll see another year where he don't see a Super Bowl, and we'll see what happens with that. If you have anything to say before we get up out of here tonight?
Cowboys to the Super Bowl.
Are we doing this again? See what happens, everyone. We're in the offseason, and Ish is already acting a fool. With that being said, like we said, we appreciate y'all as always for tuning in. Happy Fat Tuesday, as you see in the background on the whiteboard. We appreciate everybody for listening on all platforms. And, of course, check us out on the podcast if you want to listen to us while you do your morning workouts at the gym. With that being said, we will see y'all next Tuesday where the NFL will serve us up some more topics to talk about. And we'll let y'all know, of course, about some other miscellaneous things that we have going on here at X Talking Ish. We'll let y'all know in due time, not right now. With that being said, in due time. With that being said, we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next time on X Talking Ish.
Peace.